Hello everyone, welcome to BW Marketing World and BW Business World. Today we have a marketing veteran with us, Mr. Nikhil Rao, CMO of Mars Wrigley. Hello Mr. Nikhil, welcome to our channel and thank you for sharing your time with us.
Hi Rima, the pleasure is all mine.
Okay, Nikhil, so it's been 1.5 years with Mars Wrigley now. You have a 25-year experience in marketing and you have been with one of the biggest brands till date. What has your experience been as a marketer from those 25 years and what do you plan to bring on to the table for Mars?
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of working with two of the biggest snacking companies in the world. My initial experience of 25 years, I've had exposures both to the sales side and the marketing side. In marketing, I've had experience in local, leading the brand, leading the chocolate category in India. I have also had global roles, looking after one of the largest brands across the world for its marketing. And I've also had regional stints out of Singapore, looking after chocolates, looking after gum and candy. And my last stint in my previous organization was looking after marketing for the Southeast Asia BU. Since it's been 1.5 years with Mars, unlike my previous organization, Mars is a challenger brand in India. Although globally it's much bigger, Mars is a $50 billion organization. In India it is quite new. And it's been great defining the strategies for Mars, setting the positioning for the brands, looking at the entire marketing mix. I also handled e-com for Mars in India. Has been a great exposure and return back to India in many ways for me.
With Mars achieving 15% CAGR over the last 5 years and it has now reached to 2,329 crore. What does the actual market share of chocolate look like? And how do you, position the segment in your portfolio?
Yeah, in chocolates, we are more of a premium player. And we do better in organized trade. So if you were to look at things like e-commerce or specifically on Quickcommerce, we would have about a 10% share. As you get to say a modern trade, we would have a 6 to 7% share. And in the vast traditional trade across India, we would have about 2% share. And that is how it is because we are new entrants. If you look at, say, gum, where we lead with Boomer, we also have brands like Orbit and Doublemint, there we would have about an 18% share. We have been in gum for longer in the country.
Okay. Now, when you talk about, Quickcommerce, now again, Quickcommerce has been a major player. And as you have mentioned previously that, it drives I think, approximately 10% of your entire system, of entire media mix. And especially with something like IPL, you have majorly campaigned or you have majorly advertised Mars in the quick commerce aspect. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, as I mentioned, quick commerce is where we as a challenger brand have made quick inroads into. And we have about a 10% share and it contributes about 10-15% to our overall turnover, or slightly more than that. So our approach to quick commerce is a convenience kind of channel. People go to quick commerce when they want something in 8 to 10 minutes. So this is ideal for impulse, right? Chocolate, gum, I have the craving for it. I feel like a Snickers now. I crave a Galaxy now. Quick commerce, I get it within 10 minutes. So it's possibly the fastest way to fulfill your craving. And that's where we do well. And the way we have been driving it is, in addition to the usual performance marketing, are we coming on top in terms of search, our merchandising on, and perfect digital store, is it all up to the top quality? We also invest a lot into occasions. You mentioned IPL. This is where people are sitting at home watching a match, and the best time to activate impulse is during IPL. And we've done great work with Blinkit there. We also activated things like when hunger strikes, the 4 o'clock hunger, or midnight when you get the craving or the hunger pangs at midnight. How do we use quick commerce, which is very, very effective for those moments of impulse.
So you mentioned, quick commerce does 10 to 15% of your entire turnover, precisely 3x into what other challenger brands are doing. But on the other hand, if I ask about that, you recently mentioned that last year, I think your media mix looked like 70% of traditional and 30% digital. And now, I think last year it was 70% and 30% digital. but then you came on to 50% of digital and 50% of traditional. What is that? What is the metrics that drove this shift? And if it's 50% of traditional and 50% of digital in today's date, what does the media mix looks like in terms of we say print, broadcast, OTT, outdoor advertising? How does the media mix look like, since Mars also has a diverse portfolio?
Yeah, when it comes to media, we try to maximize our reach. How do we reach more people? Because that helps in driving penetration. And also at the same time, how do we engage them more? We don't want to just be broadcasting very cold messages. How are we engaging them? How are we getting them into a conversation? So in that, when we do the calculations and build the reach stack, we find that, yes, TV helps us up to 50% roughly of our investment on TV forms the backbone of our reach. Now, when you want to engage with them, it's very critical to be in platforms like Meta or YouTube, which the Gen Z and Gen Alpha do watch. And we've been also doing pilots into things like addressable media, where you're changing the kind of creative, the content by different types of cohorts. We have also been doing pilots with Snapchat. We've also been trying to see what can we do with Pocket. And these are the experiments that we're doing, but the mainstay stay TV, Meta, and YouTube.
Okay. And when we talk about the reach, okay, now your chocolate segment has approximately, 90% of the revenue comes from the chocolate area. Now, then adding to that, you have, markets, premium markets, where you're only targeting the metropolitan cities, where you're targeting tier 1 cities. But when we talk about, gum like Boomer, it's even present, a 1 rupee chewing gum. We even get that in the smallest of the markets, in villages rather. How do you manage that bifurcation between premiumization and mass market segment?
Exactly. I think as Boomer is largely at the 1 rupee price point, it's a gum that can go easily through the indirect channels, whether it's wholesale, or we have a huge set of substockists who we leverage to get to the smaller towns. And Boomer, you must remember, has been in this country for 31 years. It is kind of from the Wrigley era, before Wrigley became part of the Mars family, and has had those 31 years to keep building its distribution. While chocolate, on the other hand, we are about 12 to 13 years old in this country, and as I mentioned earlier, we started from the top down. So we do well in the top end, whether it's modern trade, it's the standalone supermarkets, decom, some of your large groceries, large food stores, bakeries. That's where we do well. So we are at the top end in metro and tier 1 towns.
So, and how does the split looks like when it comes to revenue? Where does the revenue actually come from, majorly, if I may ask? What is the split between the chocolate segment and the, gum candy segment?
Yeah, chocolate is growing faster. I think overall as a category, chocolate in India has been growing faster, and but that is roughly about 70%. I won't have the actual numbers with me, and 30% would be the rest. This gum largely led by Boomer. We have Orbit and Double Mint too.
Okay. Now, you also mentioned that, you're all targeting the Gen Z and Gen Alpha with that 50% of your media mix going to digital. But if I ask that, catering to a multi-generational audience, when we talk about the brands Mars has, say it Boomer, I've been hearing it since my childhood, Boom Boom Boomer, or Snickers Hungry Hai Kya ads. We all have been seeing it, loving it. How do you cater to the already existing consumers as well as the new consumers?
Yeah, so Boomer, as I mentioned, is like widely distributed. It's present in about 18 lakh outlets. It goes to the smallest town, even available in rural India. So we need to really drive reach on media. It is important that people see our ad often and to the last village, to the last town. So we do a reach-based planning on media on that. So there's a very different, if you look at the media plan, it'll be very, very reliant on TV. It'll have a lot of GEC channels. It'll have a lot of the use of YouTube. Whereas if you look at Snickers or Galaxy, they're a bit more upper mainstream, premium. So here we look at a combination of both reach and frequency. We would be like tying up with properties, we would be investing a bit in cricket, we would be looking at tie-ups with programs that cater to this kind of an audience. On digital also, our approach is a bit more nuanced. It's more of addressable media, having different creatives for different cohorts, using the likes of Snapchat so that we can reach and engage Gen Z and Gen Alpha properly.
Perfectly said. I think Snapchat is something which is humongously growing on the.
It's growing still nascent, I think, compared to some of the developed markets. But yes, I think with a huge Gen Z and Gen Alpha population, it can become big.
So, Mars Wrigley is currently present in 6,000 times, as reported by you. But when we talk, but there are much more markets to cater to in India. I mean, we are a 1.4 billion country, right? In that case, how do you see which additional geographies to cater to, and which are actually profitable, which is market hungry, or where do you see that the resources might be draining and you want to make a change out of it? How do you see those additional geographies?
In distribution, you're right. I think we do look at the cost to serve because India is so vast, you can easily get lost. As I mentioned, our first point of investment is decom, modern trade. We also do have a good out-of-home business. And then in traditional trade, we start from the top because there's capacity. You have consumers who come there who have a large repertoire. They eat like 6 or 7 brands in a year. So they want to have more and more different kinds of products. So we start there. We reach 3.5 lakh outlets in metros and tier 1s. And then I think, yes, it's opening up the next town or the next outlet. Does it justify the cost to serve question? Or am I blowing up so much money that it's not viable at all to go there? We'll get there one day. Because one thing with Mars is Mars plans for the long term. So where we are today, we've grown very fast, but we want to keep consolidating and stabilizing our business before rushing forward.
Okay, so how, I mean, if I may ask that, what number are you looking for in the next 1 year?
Yeah, I think we would be increasing our distribution at the pace of 10 to 20% every year. So it includes more towns and more outlets, but that's where we keep building. And I think more than building, it's about retaining it. You have to ensure that those outlets stay with you. The chiller you put in there stays and it is full of our stocks. The distributor that you have there is sustainable and he's able to make a good ROI. So that takes time. So we expand, stabilize the business, and then go for the next round.
Okay. Now, when we are actually talking about expansion, one of the areas that experts in today's day say is that the next decade is for India. And when we talk about the next decade for India, how can we miss out on Cannes since we are just on the borderline of it? What are your expectations from Cannes Lion this year? As we witnessed that, India did not perform its best last year. Last year was excellent, in fact. But last year, it did not do that well. What are your expectations from Cannes this year, and any work that you have particularly liked, or any campaigns, any agencies that you have liked and their work?
Yeah, that's exciting, right? Cannes is truly the mecca of creativity, and I've had the privilege of being there thrice in the last decade, and have had the privilege also of winning 3 Lions. When it comes to India's performance, I think it's been steadily increasing. There have been a lot of wins. India traditionally does well in the traditional categories like print and audio, outdoor, a couple of times TV. But I think in the last year, India's possibly been losing a bit of traction there. And also, India is so diverse. Why is a brand doing something? What is the cultural context? What is the context with consumers? It's so different. I think the people entering the case studies have to do a lot of hard work in making that come alive in the case studies.
Okay. Now, since we are talking about, India has been doing well in Cannes in the traditional areas. Now, on the other side of it, when we talk about advanced technology, when we talk about digitization, modernization in marketing, Gen AI is a topic that has been, a lot in the buzz for the last one and a half years. Every marketer has been talking about it. Every company has been talking about it. Every brand has been talking about it. That what are the uses? How can we, leverage it? How can we not leverage it? What do we still need to learn? But when it comes to marketing, we have been seeing very limited use of generative AI in the marketing campaigns. It's actually, we can count it on our hands, on our fingers, in fact. But how are marketers using generative AI? Are we lacking into somewhere, or are we not understanding it? How do you see generative AI and its use in marketing? I mean, of course, I'm sure in data it helps, but when it comes to campaigns, what is the scope of generative AI in that?
No, that's a great question, and I think that is where all the buzz is today, right? I think generative AI has proved itself in the field of content. If you want to create addressable content, you want to reach a lot of people, personalized at scale, generative AI helps you create those. I shared an example earlier about the Snickers campaign globally with Jose Mourinho, where Jose Mourinho, through generative AI, converts into different characters and answers your questions. Now, if you look at other applications of that, there are brands. Recently, there was one who created entire ads using generative AI. So I think the best is yet to come. I think we've just seen the tip of the iceberg, and as we go along, there can be more and more applications of generative AI. You mentioned data. Earlier, we used to use a lot of mathematical models and regression analysis to make sense of data. But today, Gen AI-based tools are becoming more and more common. It can crunch through huge volumes of data and give you insights much faster.
Now, there is a point, we are in the Indian market, right? Our market is price sensitive, but also Mars takes a place on the premiumization. How do you balance that premiumization as well as, with Boomer with the 1 rupee chewing gum in a market like India, if I may ask? How do you balance that mix between the two?
Yeah, it is horses for courses, right? I think for the right consumer, are you giving the best product at the right price point? And that is the mission of Mars. Can we do that? So Boomer, your gum consumer, 90% of them can buy only at the 1 rupee price point. So we have to be at that price point. There's a lot of work that happens in our R&D labs and at the factory to ensure that we are cost competitive and can keep making the Boomer bubblegum at 1 rupee. That's to cater to that audience who, as I mentioned earlier, is in the small towns, is in the villages, and that is the moment of delicious fun for them in that day. Now, if you look at your metro audience, or if you look at SECA India, you would find that they have far more disposable income. They want experiences that they can get anywhere else in the world, and otherwise they'll go to some other brand. So if you look at Snickers, it is available at 50 rupees or 75. We also have it at 125 rupees. If you look at Galaxy, it is purely in the premium chocolate space with prices ranging from 50 all the way to 200. So that is how we segment it, and looking at the consumer for each of the segments who come to our brands, we fit the price pack architecture to their needs and what they can afford.
Nikhil, I mean, with multiple brands requiring distinct creative territories, Snickers, hunger satisfaction, Galaxy's indulgence, Boomers, playfulness, how do you prevent creative overlap while ensuring each brand has sufficient media weight to cut through those different and their respective segments?
Well, that's a great question. I think the key word is clarity. Am I, the agency, the team that works on the brand, are they very, very clear on what the brand stands for and how is it articulated? The Snickers is very clearly on hunger. It's about hunger, अच्छे अच्छों को बदल देता है. You're not yourself when you're hungry. And that insight is powerful. Whether in India or the UK or anywhere else in the world that's played, it has won its market share. So being clear with that and not tinkering with that, trying to add your own layer, trying to add different nuances is very important. Similarly, Galaxy is about pleasure. It's about empowering women to make the most of their me time, because it's really indulgent, it's smooth, creamy, silky, and that's what we are very, very clear about. Boomer, I think it's always stood for the bubble. It is the bubble gum, as you mentioned. People have grown up for the last 3 decades, and we'll be very clear about that. We might bring in ambassadors like Bumrah right now, which is working very well, but is he celebrating and respecting the bubble that Boomer stands for? And to the second part of your question, which is around how do we use this in media, exactly, I think hunger moments have a different ramification in media. Are we present when the 4 o'clock hunger strikes? Are we visible and available when midnight hunger strikes? Whereas for Boomer, it is every day. That impulse can strike when someone is coming back from college or someone is on the way to work. So are we reaching out to as many people as possible every week? So the media is we cut our cloth according to what the role of the brand is. Of course, it's totally different, I think, to the role it plays and the kind of consumer it reaches to. The choice of media will be extremely different, right? Like on Snickers, are we driving reach and frequency? It is premium hunger brand? So are we being able to reach out and engage our consumers in the right way? For Boomer, yes, the campaign will be very TV heavy, because TV is the backbone of reach, and we want to get quick, effective reach at a high ROI, and that's where we use only TV to a large extent for Boomer. And say, like you mentioned, Galaxy. Galaxy is a premium brand reaching to a few top-notch consumers across the country. So are we doing the right thing on digital? Are we using quick commerce as a means to reach out to them? Are we present on OTT television? Some of the things we look at.
I'll come to a softer tone to it, that when we talk about, chocolates, of course, that is one thing that is very normal for gifting as well. And the gifting market is massive right now. With premiumization taking a front seat, how do you see the portfolio of Mars Wrigley going into it, the entire gifting market?
Yeah, globally, I think we are among the leading brands when it comes to gifting. In India, the market, as you rightly mentioned, is a bit complicated. The chocolate gifting market is about 1100 crores. About 25% of that is at the top end, the premium end. That's where we play. We launched Galaxy Jewels last year. We are focused mostly on modern trade and decom for that, because we're just trying to test the waters with that. So very successful. Galaxy Jewels is in fact one of our leading brands in gifting from Middle East and Africa, which we import right now, and we're testing out the waters in the country. So that's where we want to win. That's where consumers are looking for something thoughtful, something premium for their loved ones. And if you switch tracks to the mass end of the market, the remaining 75%, this is where people are looking for something that can mark the occasion, that can be given to the neighbors, to a distant relative, to an uncle, to an aunt, to a school teacher, to somebody in the office. So the application is quite general, and it's used to generally kind of mark the occasion. So here we have a lot of competition with any other snacking category. With, you mentioned mithai, dry fruits. There's a lot of interaction. We don't yet play big there, but we made some forays. For example, last year we had a very good collaboration with Reliance to create a bespoke Snickers gift pack for them. And this was as per their design, and it worked really well.
So do you see there's a difference in the cultural shift, in the nuances that we are witnessing in the demographic altogether? Because the premium segment definitely is it's a high double-digit growth number, but of course the gifting segment is slowing down. Do you see a cultural shift happening there in India?
No, I think total gifting, which is massive, right? I don't even know what's the size of it. If I were to include everything from iPhones to cashew nuts to sweets to handbags to books, it's really massive. It's really massive. I don't think anybody can estimate what the size of that is. I wouldn't say that is not growing, but within chocolate, premium is growing faster than mass gifting.
Also, one thing I would like to understand is that when you talk about the niche market, where do you see the portfolio of Mars Wrigley? And how are you planning to make your brand a niche market in the market?
We are playing certain niches now which are scaling up quite fast. If I were to look at where the absolute space where we're focused is hunger. Hunger is a very large part of the snacking universe, roughly about 20%. Snickers was a pioneer there. We came and launched chocolate for hunger for the first time. And that's been growing well, and we have a substantial share there. If you look at the other place we're focused is on the premium end through Galaxy. If you look at Galaxy, where there's a smooth milk chocolates, it is through gifting packs like Galaxy Jewels. If it's through a dark chocolate like Galaxy Fusions, we are trying to specialize in the premium segment there. And if you were to look at this whole area of fun, whether it is gums, whether it is lollipops, chewing gum, we try to excel there through Boomer. So we just launched Boomer Lollipop to extend the equity of Boomer to another fun segment.
Nikhil, my last question to you. What is the media marketing spends that you look at, or what is of the entire turnover of Mars Wrigley?
Yeah, because us being a challenger brand, we are investing ahead of the curve. We already discussed about how we're investing in people, we're investing in the factories. Even in our sales and marketing efforts, we invest quite a bit. In terms of percentage, we're investing roughly around 30% of our turnover onto sales and marketing.
Thank you so much, Nikhil. It was absolutely a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.